You point out in the book that a lot of the metrics are past looking,
Yeah.
And how like comments and downloads and page views and all of these things that are sort of static, kind of usually page oriented kind of stats end up giving us kind of kludgy reverse looks at what's actually happening.
Yeah, what we're doing is looking back at what happened in the past, but again, we don't know. Very rarely do we actually even apply why it happened. Again, going back to that, time on page out, example. That particular company thought they were doing really well because they were being measured on the time on page, but they weren't asking the question, why are people only spending 5 seconds on our FAQ page?
Right. Right, because they could make the assumption that it's all answers.
It's all good, yeah,
all happy answers, because that metric is being used as a proxy. But how do organizations dig in to the why?
It's an old-fashioned approach, but it's talking to people. It's actually doing practical tests of the digital experience. Just using your own systems. If you're the CXO, try and buy something from your own company. I actually just had not this book, but another book published around the same time, and and I put something online about, I've got my copy, and the publisher's like, well, I haven't sent out the comp copies yet. Why did you go buy one? I'm like, I always go buy a copy of any new book I get published, so I know what it's like for my customers to actually go through the process of getting one, what it's like to buy, how long it takes, does it come properly wrapped, is it in good condition? I always do that. I've always done that. And he was like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I should do that too. I was like, yeah, maybe you should. Just to see, because then if you get a complaint about, this was badly wrapped or something, you could get ahead of that problem. If the shipping company is damaging the goods, he can get ahead of that problem and solve it because he's been through it. So, I think there's one, use your own systems. To get people who don't know your company to test your systems. That's the other thing. We make so many assumptions. We all come to whatever we do on a functional level with a whole bunch of assumptions, be that assumptions about a industry, assumptions about a process, assumptions about a culture, assumptions about language. So get somebody who knows nothing about your business to try and do something with your digital experience, be that get a question answered, buy something, report a fault. Just get somebody who has never used it, knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your company, knows nothing about your product, to actually go on, find information, and order a product and see how easy, particularly if you're trying to be global, get people from other cultures to do that. So again, it comes down to the people. And I'm still a big proponent of things like customer advisory boards, talking to people, not surveys. Surveys are completely, I think I talk in the book, I have a whole chapter on the book about not another survey, because surveys are self-selecting. People only fill in surveys if they've got something to say, and that usually means they've got something good to say or something bad to say. You never catch the middle people on a survey. Yeah,
this idea of research it's as old as the digital, the dawn of digital UX, but it has been perennially neglected because we're trying to find shortcuts. And what's interesting though is that the shortcuts, I mean, as you point out somewhere else in the book, they only ever help us understand a moment in time in a specific departmental interaction, not the holistic experience, which really is a qualitative assessment.
It is, yeah.
At the end of the day, Net Promoter Score, where you try to boil it down, and that might be a useful tracking mechanism, but it doesn't give you any of the actual goodie.
Things like that are good for spotting trends, but they shouldn't be the raw number that you get measured by. Things like a Net Promoter Score, you want to know whether it's going up or down, but whether we've got from 7.2 to 7.4 is meaningless to a large extent. It's good to know that you're tracking up on it, but again, you want to know why. Did we do something different that's driving an increase in the Net Promoter Score? Not just, it went up last month way. It's like, well, why did it go up last month? What caused that? Getting that understanding. And as you said, measuring all the departmental metrics, you may find out one or two departments have got really good scores, but actually in other areas you're really poor. And that maybe averages out across the organization to give you an average score, but it doesn't show you where the problem areas are.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Well, and if we care about the customer life cycle value, right? The total,
yeah,
the total, I mean, and even that's a very, very hard-nosed kind of asset to, or metric to be tracking, right? It's I need to know what the total lifetime value of a particular customer is.
right.
So that number is going to vary based on qualitative experience information.
Yes.
And so if, and that number has a huge impact on my overall financial performance of every product segment in an enterprise.